like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where of course it's time for another Sega Saturn review, and as you will have guessed from the title of the video, we are taking a look at the sequel to last week's game Mortal Kombat 2. We are looking at Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which came out in June of 1996 over here in the PAL region. So, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was obviously based on the original version of Mortal Kombat 3, which didn't see a release on the Saturn. It came out on the PlayStation, it even came out on the Master System and Game Gear still, but Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was the first one to completely move away from any 8-bit systems and only saw a release on the 16 and 32-bit systems. Another thing to note is that the game has no introduction video or sequence or storyline explanation whatsoever. Once the game boots up, it goes straight into an attract mode before giving you the profiles of the 4 characters not in the original Mortal Kombat 3, Katana, Jade, Scorpion, and Reptile. So heading onto the main menu, you'll see you've got the combat option, which is the main bulk of the game. We've got various options, sound, control configuration, game settings. Heading into the game settings, it's pretty standard stuff, changing the difficulty, the violence level, the blood, and a few other things as well. Nothing out of the ordinary. If you input the cheat code when the game is loading up, you'll have access to the cheat menu, meaning you can turn on free play, meaning you can turn on all of the extra characters, and you can turn off fatality time, and you can even set it to 1-round matches if you want to try and blast through the game really quick. So once you enter combat, you'll see you've got the Mortal Kombat main game, you've got a 4-player 2-on-2 combat, or you can have an 8-player tournament as well, so there is more content over Mortal Kombat 2. Heading into Mortal Kombat then, this is the 1-player game where you battle through every single character to try and then defeat Shao Kahn. When you get to the character selection screen, you will see we've got 22 characters on this game, so there are more characters than Mortal Kombat 2. Characters excluded from the original Mortal Kombat 3 return as well, so you have got plenty of variety within the game for different characters.
Your destiny.
So with all of that out of the way, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to talk about the way the game looks, the way it sounds, the way it plays, what kind of lifespan it's going to give you, and whether it is worth playing today. Now, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 looks very, very similar to Mortal Kombat 2. It would be difficult for me to say the character models are any better, but they're certainly at least as good as Mortal Kombat 2, and which is no problem whatsoever because those pre-rendered graphics, I said last week, held up very well. They hold up very well again on Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. I've got absolutely no issues with the way the characters look, the way they move, the way they pull off all of their maneuvers. I think it looks good in that regard, and thankfully the backgrounds have been improved somewhat in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, mainly because some of them can be interacted with. You can sometimes uppercut your character, it will blast you through the ceiling, and you'll go on to the next stage. And if I remember rightly, this may well have been the first fighting game to introduce things like that. We've seen it in loads of other fighting games since then, but Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 for me, I think, was the first fighting game to introduce this. So overall, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is a pretty decent looking game that has actually stood the test of time quite well. So moving on to the sound effects and music within Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and it is all positive stuff. Just like I said for Mortal Kombat 2, I haven't got any issues with anything within Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, whether it's the sound effects for all of the attacks and special moves, the little bits of music that play for when you pull off a fatality or a babality, the voice sampling for all the characters. I think all of it pulls together really, really well, and I haven't got anything negative to say about Mortal Kombat 3's soundtrack or sound effects at all. So moving on to the way Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 plays, and thankfully it plays slightly better than Mortal Kombat 2, and that is because of the few additions. You now have a run button, meaning you can dash forward, which can be helpful at times as well. And the main thing, the biggest thing, is the introduction of fantastic combos into the game. Preset button combinations that you can hit, which can unleash absolutely devastating looking combos, and there is nothing more satisfying in this game than hitting a multi-hit combo on the computer, because they simply look fantastic in it, and it just gives me great joy to whack the computer with multi-hit combos, especially if you're using a character that can stun them, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Cyrax, and then go up to them and just beat them to hell with a multi-hit combo. It is incredibly satisfying. The only downside from the gameplay, again, is the same thing that I said with Mortal Kombat 2. Pulling off some of your finishing moves can be infuriatingly frustrating. You feel like you're inputting these combos over and over again and they're not doing them. Then other times you can pull them off much easier. Again, it really relates to you standing in the exact spot. So it really is a case of learning where to stand to pull them all off. That being said, that is the only negative about the gameplay. Again, it is a really good playing game, just like Mortal Kombat 2.
Sub-Zero wins.
So in terms of the lifespan, the biggest addition is the fact there are now more characters to play through the single game with, which will obviously increase the lifespan. You've got additional options for multiplayer tournaments, the 2-on-2 and the 8-man tournament as well. That will always give you more lifespan if you've got other people to play it with. Now obviously as well, you can put the game difficulty up, and this game becomes very hard. As soon as you get to Motero, even on easy, this guy is no joke. You really need to learn the exact ways that you can defeat him. Otherwise, he will pummel you into the earth time and time again, regardless of what character you are. So lifespan, it's improved. Again, the downside is you can't save any data whatsoever. So every time you turn the game back on, you've got to input the cheat code to get the other characters back. It doesn't save any high scores, anything like that. So that is always a downside, which means I'm never going to be able to say a game like this has got great lifespan, but it has got a bit more because it's got more characters and additional multiplayer options.
Wins.
Which brings us on to our two final questions. Is Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 worth playing today, and does it make our Sega Saturn top 10? Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is definitely worth a go in this day and age. It's still enjoyable to play. It's still nice to see all the characters, animalities and babalities and fatalities and all of that. The downside being the fact it doesn't save any data. This for me is a huge crippler, which kind of puts me off playing a game like this repeatedly, because all of your high scores just get reset as soon as you turn the game off. And that's why I wouldn't recommend that you go out and shell out the money for this game again. It's pretty expensive, like Mortal Kombat 2 is now as well. Does that mean it makes our Saturn top 10? It doesn't, no. You see, you're comparing it to the other fighting games on the system, and it's really tough because the Saturn has got so many great fighting games. As I've already spoke about multiple times before, games now are gonna have to be really, really decent to get into that Saturn top 10. And whilst Mortal Kombat 3 plays well and it's still enjoyable to play, the downside being, the save data issue for me cripples a game, and it means it just cannot get into our Sega Saturn top 10. What are your thoughts on Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3? How does it compare to the other fighting games on the system? Like I said, I feel it plays really good, and there's lots of characters, lots of moves to learn. It's just, like I said, repeatedly now, the saving issue is a big problem for me. That is it for today. Thank you for watching, and as always, I shall be back soon with another Saturn review. Goodbye for now.